Welcome to Mondays with Mike, candid talks between Mike Wilson in Wales, UK, and Harmony Gates in the San Francisco Bay Area of California. In this episode, some of the subjects we discuss are: do we have a job in this life? And if so, what is it? How do we tune into inner guidance to find clarity for our decisions? Mike shares two areas he's considering for defining his life purpose. One is facilitating deep human connections, and the other is furthering human reverence for nature and for the planet, which Mike refers to as the other than human world. We ask, what is human connection? And explore how to create a trusting relationship with another human being. And we consider, what is reverence for life? Our last topic is romantic love. Just what is it and what is its purpose? For the entire second half of this video, you will only see Mike because the camera was accidentally trained on him. Hopefully that won't happen again. We hope you enjoy this episode. So how are you? How's it going for you today?
It's been all right today. I've been getting fantastic sleep since I had that injection in my shoulder.
Excellent. Oh, I'm
Getting
so happy. Yeah.
7, 8, 9 hours. Oh, what a relief!
Yeah, for sure. Catching
After
back
all,
up. Yeah.
yeah, it was months of getting far too little sleep, like as little as 3 or 4 hours some nights.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just not enough. So yeah, that's a relief. That's really helped my mood. I've tried because it seemed to be how to get the most sleep. I fell into the habit of going to bed around 9 and then waking up. Well, I mean, whenever I woke up with my
Right.
shoulder.
Right.
But now I'm sleeping through till 6 or 7. It would be useful to be awake a bit later than 9 because Mickey's calls start again on this
Right.
Friday.
That's
And
right.
they finish at 10 o'clock in the evening here. So I'm shifting my day back by a quarter of an hour a day at the moment. So I'm up to 9:30 now.
All right, little by little. That's what the body
Yeah.
likes. It doesn't like drastic
Mm.
changes if you can help it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Good. Yeah. It
So
brings
you
up
did
for me that I actually haven't decided still if I'm going to be in Mickey's class this year.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's interesting that I
Mm.
said yes, and then I signed up and I got a discount, and then I found out there was a bigger discount. So then they unsigned me up and then I signed up again, and then the discounts. It was like this back and forth around money. And the last thing that
Yeah.
happened was they refunded everything. And because of that, I'm still sitting with the decision. That's not because of that,
Mm.
but that gives me this window, I think.
You made this decision 3 times.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm
Working
like,
on
well,
it.
exactly.
Mm.
So I haven't really found that I know the answer to that yet. I again giving it, I made head answers like, oh, this is my community and these are the reasons, and I don't want to lose the connections I have with the people that have come through NBC and all this good stuff. And some part of me is still hesitating, and I'm not sure
Mm.
what that is. So,
Not sure why.
yeah. Yeah.
When you're making decisions like that, do you ever sort of ask your body? Do you
Not
sort of,
directly, but I think that is my primary um, source of uh, information, maybe.
mm,
Like I guess there could be a better way to like ask my body feel. This one technique is to say, okay, I'm back in the course. How do I feel in my body now? Okay, I left the course. How do I feel in my body now? Right? And that's imagining. Um, yeah, I'm debating whether to share something else. I just had a recent experience where, again, right up until the moment of a meeting, I was not sure. I thought I was sure, and then I made a mental decision, and then the next morning I woke up and was not, was distressed and disturbed, and allowed myself to kind of be in the not knowing and looking for inner some kind of confirmation. And I think I did my meditation, my breath meditation, and I got insight, which gave me enough clarity to say no from a really easy place, you know. Uh,
It's a good skill to develop, isn't it? To be able to listen in that way, I think.
yeah, yeah.
I every day here I go, well, very nearly. I mean, I very occasionally miss it because of the weather, but I very nearly always go for a walk, even if it's a short one, like 20 minutes. And there's quite a few different routes I can go from home. And I will, just as I'm walking down the stairs, I say, oh, which way am I going to go? And I can just, oh,
Mm,
if I go that way, yeah, if I go that way, oh no, it's that way. And then my body's saying, we want
right.
to go this
Yeah. Yeah,
way.
and just that kind of quiet openness and checking
Mm.
in, and keep a little pause. It's like a little space, feels like to me to go,
So I think it's a nice practice, because then when big deal to see important decisions come along,
yeah,
I've been practicing. I've got in the habit of asking my body and listening to the answer. How does it
right.
feel?
Yeah, exactly. And it doesn't isn't like you have to learn it on the spot and not know, right? You
Mm.
have you have a sense of and trust too that you can open and get an answer, by just not forcing it.
It was something Mickey said a couple of years ago about. She said, "Trust your gut, and if it leaves you astray, think it through. Because if you think it through, it's you're working out. So you're not beating, giving your gut a hard time. I'm not saying, no, you're stupid, you got it wrong. It's more, what happened there? That didn't
Mm,
go as we expected, or how as we hoped. Was there something
right.
we missed? How will we do that differently next time?
Exactly. Yeah,
You're building trust with the gut and learning to listen.
yeah. Exactly. Think it through is also um think it through is also I just want to say a little I can feel how slow my whole system is today because
Mm.
of, it's slower.
It's just easier for me when you're this slow.
Yeah, probably works for you. It's good. So there's, oh,
Although I'd
yeah.
rather not get that this way.
Well, it's fine.
Mm.
I am able to wait though because I almost don't have the energy to push through,
Mm.
you know. So, but it's a way to learn in a way. Thinking it through for me is like allows me to yeah, I think the word is learn to
Mm.
not just do something that doesn't work and then not know next time why it didn't work and not know next time why it didn't work, but to kind of process and uh yeah, that's all I can say. Wow, I have limited resources today. Maybe I need to
Mm.
listen. I have, it's so funny, Mike. I am so kinesthetic that when my body is, well, I could see that's all theory, but I am,
Your mind slows when your body slows.
well, my body is stressed. It
Mm.
is like, it's not in pain, but there's something happening that's very tension producing in my muscles and in my body. It's like it's contracted in a way. And it's not an emotional contraction, which is a different kind, but it still
Mm.
feels it's different. It's more like a physiological conservation of energy by contracting, maybe. That's a theory,
Can,
but
can
yeah.
you ask your body what it would like of you? What would, if it's whatever's happened? What does it need to heal? What is what is requested here? Is it rest? Something in particular to eat or drink?
Hmm. I did have one thought come through um without even actually asking. It was like, oh, if this is some, I think it accessed some knowledge about clove, the spice cloves.
Mhm.
Ground cloves are very good for cutting down, I guess it's biotics, so if you have a stomach poisoning, then you have all this bacteria and stuff that shouldn't be there, and cloves will kill that. So I thought, not right this minute, but I think that's something. It's sort of like an external. But also my body just really wants to rest. And I have this with you, and then I have a dance today, and it's like, okay, so how do I pace myself to meet
Mm.
my obligations, my commitments? And
Are you able
I
to
almost didn't do my breath, but I did 5 minutes of it. That was really helpful. I can realize doing that again will be helpful. So,
drink enough? You're not getting dehydrated.
no, I drink a lot. I'm good there. I think it's just my body's just trying to rebalance. It's just been through like
Mm.
and it's
Well, a few
yeah.
years ago, I had food poisoning, and the doctor said there's a real risk of dehydration. You can get little sachets of electrolytes to put in a glass of water. And he said basically it's salt and sugar. So if you don't want to go to the chemist, the
Yeah.
pharmacy, just
Yeah.
put half a teaspoon of salt and half a teaspoon of sugar in a glass of
Yeah.
water. It just
Yeah.
makes it easier for the body to the salt. I think the sugar's a little bit of energy. The salt makes it easier for the body to take the water.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do that every day anyway, not the sugar so much,
Mm.
but maybe a little sugar wouldn't hurt. I haven't had this. I was woke up, and it was like all this bathroom urge more than usual. And then hunger really early, which I usually don't have. It was just like, it's just, and I'm not freaked out by it. I'm just, because I could feel it last night. I could feel it once I got into bed. I was like, oh, something's going on. And,
Something not right.
and
Mm.
I have a very much a sensitivity digestively anyway. That's sort of the place where I have symptoms, if I have them, of a discomfort, they're going to happen, whether it was food or I don't know. And I don't have to know, although I've been trying to figure it out a little bit. Yeah. And I appreciate your tips because I think it'll help me just to move a little, I think, and just kind of not try to use too much cognitive resources because it seems like that's what's
Mm.
limited right now is my ability to just um
Mm.
yeah, I don't want to have to use the energy it takes to think and
You don't want to be mentally tired or physically
yeah.
tired.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. So maybe let's just take a moment. Would you ring the bell once for
Mm.
us, maybe?
Yeah,
Thanks.
hold on just a sec.
You
It's
don't
just
have
across.
to. It was
No,
nice
no,
just seeing you stretch, actually.
it's just across here on the table,
Okay.
a couple of steps away.
Hmm. Hmm.
Really, any excuse to ring the bell.
Right. Uh, hmm.
Mm. Oh.
Hmm. Hmm.
Ah.
Yeah, that's what's wanted. My body wants attention, which I haven't
Mm.
really given it this morning. It just wants me to
Good.
kind of like just
Mm.
mm.
Take
Mhm.
good care of it.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's the only one
Mm.
you'll ever have.
That's the only one I know about anyway. Ah, yeah. Mm. Yeah, I think if we're going to interact verbally today, which probably we would like to do, that it would be sweet for me to have you begin
Hmm.
in some way so I can listen and just sort of move as I listen.
Hmm.
Mm.
Well, I could talk a little about purpose.
Yay.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm. I'm still stuck with these which way to turn with two possibilities.
Mm. Mm.
Oh, excuse me. I have
Yeah.
also
Uh,
discomfort in my belly
yeah, there you go.
today.
Yeah.
I was really hungry about an hour and a half ago, and
Did
I
you
went
eat?
across to the village shop and bought a packet of cornflakes and came back and ate 3 bowls, which was probably a mistake. So I've got on the one hand,
Uh-huh.
um, wanting wanting to find a way to invite people to sort of look again at where they are, the earth that supports them, to
Right.
love the earth,
To sort
to
of
care.
to sort of reorient themselves in a way to
Mm.
include the earth and nature and that. Yes.
And with the theory of change around that would be that if people appreciated the earth, if they love the earth, they would want to preserve it for future generations, to treat it kindly, reverently,
Mm.
which is, and this has been my, has
Mm.
been on my statement of purpose for a few months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then what came up recently in our conversation 2 weeks ago, is it 2 or 3 weeks ago?
I
Well,
think
2 weeks ago,
two, maybe, if
was
or even
also this the I guess what I'd call this a particular awareness of the quality of connection between people and wanting to find a way to deeper connection than most people are willing to put up with. And this
right.
goes back, I'm just thinking something was happening around, and I'm not sure about the dates. It was when I lived in North Wales. It was say 15 years ago, give or take 2 years either way. And this is when I was a regular at AA. I haven't been regular at AA for ages. I just I'd
Got
had
what you
enough of
needed.
listening.
Yeah, you got what you
I had
needed
enough
there.
of
Mm.
listening to old men who didn't know what they were talking about God.
Yeah, it can go there.
Yeah. So, but there was one meeting in particular where I went to every Friday, and I guess it was a particularly healthy meeting. There were people there who've been sober for a while, and I noticed that for me there was something slightly different in the room. There was a different quality of, and I was struggling for words. I couldn't really quite describe it, but there was something particularly pleasant, particularly enjoyable about the quality of the atmosphere in that room. And when I tried to talk to people about it, they had no idea what I was talking about. They looked at me like I was nuts.
If we slow
And
down here, what if we slow down here and you see if you have words, any kind of words now for that? Or maybe that's where you're going in your
what I
story
do,
already.
yeah, I do now.
Okay, good. Go
Because
ahead then.
then I
Yeah,
was thinking, then I would say, then I had a sense, certainly for quite a few of the people who were the regulars at that meeting,
right,
I
right.
felt, and I felt isn't it's not a feeling, it's a thought, but I believed,
Experienced. Mm.
I experienced, yeah, my experience was that I trusted them, that these were
Mm-hmm.
people who meant well, that meant me well, that
Mm.
meant other people in the room well,
Mm.
that these were people it was safe to be a little more vulnerable around.
Yeah.
And I guess in that particular meeting, there were enough people that I felt that way about, that I noticed the difference in how I was showing up, and my emotional experience of being there, that sense of safety. And
Right. And maybe even that number of people in the group had an effect on the entire group energy. So not just
I guess
you,
so, yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
like it creates a safer group in a way for everyone. And everyone, that's a thought, but not to derail you. Continue.
Yeah. So I mean, I was aware that this experience was there,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't find the language to discuss it, to describe it to anybody else. And the thoughts around that continued. I
Right.
moved to South Wales. I moved to that housing cooperative where I lived for a couple of years.
Right. So
And
you didn't give up your uh perception, trusting your own perception of that, even though you couldn't
no,
find language or anyone to even help you find language or agree with you. So it's something that you knew. Yeah.
and something that, yeah, that it had been pleasurable
Yeah. Yeah.
when it occurred. So I was
Right.
not up
You
on a pleasurable
registered it
experience.
positive, pleasurable, desirable. Yeah.
So I was living with these hippies in South Wales
Uh-huh.
on the farm, and there was one woman there that had some idea what I was on about, but still wasn't really able to develop the conversation. And in 2012, I went to that was the year I discovered MVC, and I went to a weekend. I tried reading Marshall's book, and I think I struggled with it.
Mm.
And I went on a weekend MVC Foundation, and Penny, who ran that, the trainer who ran that foundation weekend, talked about connection. I thought, that's it, it's connection. That's what
Ah.
you're on about.
Ah.
Yeah, so it's not
A
just
word.
me. Mm, it's not just me.
Mm.
So
Mm.
then when I had some words for it and some other people who understood it, then that's been with me ever since, and it's been easy to describe. I've met other people I can, through the MVC community, who I can discuss this with, and of course there's a whole world of experiences that go with it. Like there's the trust,
Yes.
the integrity. So it's not great to seek deeper connection with people who are not able to hold other people with care.
Right.
I discovered that the hard way.
Yeah.
So it became clear that I seem to have a particularly strong association with connection and the qualities that we
Mm.
bring that make it possible.
So association is a pretty vague word for, I think, what you're trying to say. I wonder, like,
Mm,
I could think of more things, but I want to encourage you to maybe parse out what that means. Yeah.
yeah,
Or
go
what,
round again. Yeah,
yeah.
so there's a particular. I could also a relationship.
Mm-hmm. So
I
it's,
just got to have a relationship with that experience. Well, that whole not just the experience of, not only the experience of connection, but the thoughts and the feelings that go around what is it that leads to that.
yeah. So what are the elements of it that invite it, make it safe, um, sustain it,
Mm,
uh, uh, value it? What, like, there's recognize it. It's like these are, connection is this word, but
mm,
it's human relational connection, at least in this moment we're talking about.
yep.
And there are many, it isn't something that's an on-off switch in a sense. I mean, it sort of is, but there's a lot of differentiation about how it becomes established and maintained, perhaps. These kinds of things.
Mm. I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm going, my mind's going off in two directions now.
Okay, take a breath. Let's just pause.
I'll name the
Mm,
two, I'll name the two
okay,
directions quickly.
okay. So, yeah, let's play.
There's on the one hand, there is the possibility that more people could share more connection if we if more of us were able to bring care and kindness and trust and integrity to all relationships.
Right.
And on the other hand, when the experience of connection goes in for what in my experience is really very deep,
Ah, okay.
then
In.
there's a different experience of self.
Okay, let's see. Let's name those again. So one is, it's almost like I can't see the difference. One is more about the skills and one is more about almost the spiritual experience.
I think it's
Something.
not only the skills, it's the mindset that we bring.
Ah, right. That's why it kind of it I told you my
Mm.
brain's slow.
I mean, it's
So,
different from what I've observed. There are. I mean, not this is not a black and white thing, but the there's a difference in the quality of friendships in between men and between women, and between men there's often various levels of taking the piss. We call it in English, teasing,
ah,
teasing,
uh-huh.
which kind of discourages vulnerability.
Ah,
It
okay.
kind of encourages us to keep some distance from each other. Even
Right.
close men friends can be
Right.
a little distance from each other because if I reveal some vulnerability, it's going to be used against me. And they'll say, "Oh,
Interesting.
well, we're only joking." Yeah, they were only joking, but it's still, wow, I didn't want you to joke about that.
Interesting. There's so many layers there that I know about that are, or I'm guessing about, or I've heard about, that this sense of if two men really entered into the depth of communion you're talking about, they might have feelings of love. And what do they do
Mm,
with those feelings of love then? Does that, because we have such homophobia and all these other things going on in the culture. So, in a way, if they can just continue to bat that away so they don't have
mm.
to deal with, whoa, we don't have bromance anymore, whatever that used to be. I've heard that term. And so I think this is, there's a cultural uh, way of distancing from that
Mm.
possibility and what to not know, what how to be with that.
For
And
fear of being identified as
yeah,
being gay.
exactly,
Mm,
exactly. And then being attacked for being gay. See, so that's how it becomes like
mm,
defensive and self-protective. Um, yeah, yeah. And so, but you talked about mindset, and I think there's something there also that says this. It's like the mindset of what I think of as assume the best, give the person the benefit of the doubt. They probably aren't an enemy, to versus, uh-oh, be wary. This person might, damage me or in some way lower my status, or if I'm not careful, if I reveal myself, it could be used against me. So
mm.
I'm protective against that. And
And we will meet people who are always on the lookout for things to use against you.
yes, and that's, you know, it's happened to us and
Mm,
it's probably happened to them and that's why they do it, right? In their
yeah,
childhood, they've learned how to
learned behavior.
right, keep some power by putting other people down and,
Mm,
so forth. So there is a in my experience there's a an art, let me call it an art to um safely inviting someone into more intimate engagement where somehow we are a way with them that they can feel safe enough to be that way back, with
Mm.
us.
And
And
a big
yeah.
part of it is going to be what we were talking about at the beginning of our call. It's about how does it feel to trust this person?
Yes. Yes. And
Mm.
can we, so
Yeah.
it has an atmosphere of trust, whatever an atmosphere is between two people, has that been um yeah, can we trust an atmosphere of trust? Has that been uh demonstrated maybe in a
Mm.
way?
If I show a little trust, will it be returned?
Yeah,
What
exactly.
happens?
Right.
Because Brené Brown said the only way to work out, the only way to find out if you can trust someone is to trust them and see what happens.
Exactly. And it's rather wise, I've discovered, to not trust them with everything, but trust them with a little and see what they
Mm.
do with that, and then trust a little more and sort of do that
You
dance.
don't have to lend the car to someone you met
Yeah,
5 minutes ago.
right. You don't have to tell them your life story in the first meeting,
Yeah.
right?
I can remember somebody that to be trusted is, in my experience, is a lovely experience.
Oh, yes.
There was the woman at the farm where I lived. I mean, actually, after a while, it's happened several times. But the first time she asked me to look after one of the kids would have been her 6-year-old. Said, would you walk up to town with him while I take the two of the others to the dentist? And oh wow, I'm being trusted with a 6-year-old to walk up to
Wow.
the
Yeah. It's an
yeah,
honor. It really it
yeah,
feels
lovely.
it's an
Mm,
honor, and it's even I have found when someone reaches out to me for help, that feels like an honor. They trust me
mm.
enough to reach out for help because that's risky in this culture. You might owe someone or they might let you down or they say no or, it's just so there's something
There was
very
once when I was a taxi driver, I my passenger was a woman. She had a few bags and a baby and a stroller, and the bags were in the trunk. And I got out to help her with her bags, and I opened the trunk, and she went and she said, "Hold this." Well, she went for her bags, and I thought, "Well, I'm holding the baby." I've got a baby. She said she was heavily pregnant. She said she'd been popping out one a year for the past few years.
So she was a bit cavalier. Here, hold this one. I've
Yeah,
got 3 more over here.
yeah, loads more of these at home.
Yeah, but it does feels to me like I have created a self of myself or become a self or that is trustable when it happens
Mm,
frequently. And I'm
to have
like,
integrity.
yes, that's what I want because I also want the connection and the intimacy that comes with trust, that can come because of a
Mm.
trusting relationship. And
Because when I thought about it, there's a nice lecture on it actually on it's a TED talk that's on YouTube from a Buddhist monk or nun, and she said that you will hear people say we need more trust, and she said what we really need is more trustworthiness.
yeah,
And I
be,
the only difficulty I had with the word trustworthy is it can sound a bit like a judgment or a diagnosis. And when I thought some more about it, I thought the word that I like is integrity.
yeah,
So if I'm bringing integrity
right,
to everywhere that I can,
right,
it's
right.
it's very similar to being trustworthy, but it means that
You
it
are what
improves my
you
chance.
you you are what you say you are. That's
Mm,
what integrity is.
do what I say
And
I'll
and your
do.
actions follow through what you say, not just your words, right? "Oh,
Mm,
you can trust me." I love this one. One sentence is ironic, I don't know if that's the right word. Trust me, you fool." It's sort of like, said the spider to the fly kind of thing, and
yeah.
so, yeah, trust. And then, I mean, I just had this moment of trusting someone requires that we trust our own judgment too, our own ability to assess another person because right?
Um,
Otherwise, that I think that's an important element.
I think too, it has something to do with valuing my values.
Yeah.
So if I'm acting from my values, and
And you
even when there's an immediate opportunity that might profit me, but I said that isn't in line with my values, I'm not going to do that. I'm valuing my values. It's which leads indirectly to self-worth, I suppose,
yeah.
to an
Self-honoring.
extent. Maybe.
If you have integrity with your own values and you keep them
Mm.
and you don't
So
get
it's
tempted off,
self-integrity.
yeah, so then
Yeah.
become more you have more integrity in yourself and
Mm.
yeah.
So there's that whole big picture.
Yep.
Somewhere in there
Yep.
is version 2 of my purpose.
Right. And I wanted
What
to
is it?
connect. I wanted to connect two things that heard early that it's almost like one that you said was if people could um see and sort of respect and value the world and nature, they would treat it better. Is
Mm.
that's sort of
Yeah.
captured, right?
I don't like to call it nature, but yes,
Well,
it kind of implies that there's us and there's everything else, as
except
though
that
we
yes,
are not
very
part of
true.
nature.
And I think of myself as nature. This body
Mm.
is nature. So, but
When I step outside,
we do tend to do like there's the outer world where plants and animals are, and then there's, the human whatever,
I like to call it the other than human world. But
the other
anyway,
than
go
human.
on.
Okay. At any rate. So that um what I was seeing is that why do we treat anything better? And I think it's because we can have a relationship with it. So it's a connection again. Like I feel not that it's there and I'm here and now I'm going to go treat it well. It's, oh, there really isn't a line between it and myself. And so caring for it is caring for me.
Mm. I think because of the way we live in the industrial world, I think a lot of people don't see that connection.
I would agree. I would agree. And I don't know that that's that different from what you're wanting with human beings.
Mm, 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 mm. I am still seeing a difference.
What if we call it reverence for life? And it's fine to see a difference.
Mm,
I don't want to take you off of that because that has to be your uh epiphany or not. It either is
mm.
or it isn't. It's not because I think it that it's right.
I got something that I got from listening to Stephen Jenkinson was it sort of happened over a couple of years, but then I just suddenly realized there'd been a shift, and there was a difference between, because we hear this commandment, if you like, to love life.
Hmm.
And somewhere there was a shift from that meaning to love my life to meaning to love life in general.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
if we love life in general, then that is going to include all everything that is going to live, not just everything that's alive today, but all the creatures, all the people who will be born in the future. How will we be sure that they will have a home somewhere to live and grow?
Mm. Mm. The living it's almost like the living system that we
Mm,
are part of. This is how I see it. It's a living system and a ecosystem, but it's includes everything.
So I still see a distinction between that and between the particular quality of relationship that is possible between
right,
two humans.
right. I
Although I can see people who will be capable and willing to engage in that closer connection are probably more likely to also appreciate the other
Yeah,
than human world, the importance of preserving it.
yeah, they might be like parallel or closely related values
Yeah,
in a
I think,
sense.
yeah, I would guess
Yeah,
there's a big overlap in that,
yeah.
in two sets of values. Mm.
I am tempted to approach it again as what are the elements? Like what are the elements of reverence for every footstep we take on the planet,
Mm.
you know? And then what are
It's
the
almost as though
elements?
every step is a greeting to Mother Earth.
Yeah, greeting to Mother Earth, and that is a sense of trust and intimacy and um belonging to and with. Like it's not separate. It's supportive. Like it supports us, we support it. We're part of a dynamic. And when we recognize that and we don't see ourselves as separate, then having to choose to be nice to Mother Earth, we
Mm.
see that it's what we do to you is what we do to me.
For some people, I think because the effects of how we live, the consequences don't become visible,
Right?
maybe not even for a generation or two.
Right?
That what I do to the world today can affect great grandchildren. Not necessarily me. I might get away with it. I might live a terrible life. I might drive a huge gas guzzling car and
Right.
eat factory farmed meats and
Yeah.
heavily chemically treated vegetables, and I'll be fine. I could still live into my 80s and have a perfectly comfortable life. And I've been using up irreplaceable resources that will make it more difficult for future generations.
And I've been doing it. Some people, I mean, I think hopefully the people we're talking about are doing it sort of unaware. This is the
Mm.
culture they were born into, and it's given them this worldview. And it hasn't really said, oh, by the way, when we extract this from the earth, here's all the other consequences. That's sort of
But
hidden.
often people kind of don't want to know. They don't really want to know what it costs to get cobalt to make the battery for their smartphone.
Well, it's hard to have
Because,
enough bandwidth for that and for your job and your family and your food
mm,
and I don't know that they don't want to know, but it's almost like, do I want to know every murder, every time it happens on every place on the planet? It's overwhelming. I can
mm,
do nothing about all those. I want to know in my little hamlet if somebody got murdered, right? The number of people I can sort of, but it's to me, it's not intentional um what do I want to use the word
and,
denial, or
mm,
it's more like, wow, what capacity do I have, where can I actually have an impact, give me that information, but don't give me all the information about everything I can never have any impact on, because it's you know it's debilitating.
mm. Something that comes up for me that's going off at a slight tangent is that the example that, because this is one that Mickey uses quite often, she won't have a smartphone because of how some of the minerals used in the batteries are extracted.
Mhm.
The alternative for me, mine's mine's an iPhone 7. I think this is about 5 years old.
Mhm.
So the alternative is, if you like, the sort of halfway house is to say, don't go without the smartphone, but don't have a new one every year.
Yeah.
Make it last as long as possible, and be aware of what it's costing, and try and live with the consequences of that. Yeah, children, there was child labor involved in making that phone.
Yeah. And that's why you only get one every once in a while, because you're aware that it is basically a modern necessity to function, because we don't live in a little community where we can walk to everybody's house that we need to and have a verbal conversation. So in this world we've created, technology has become kind of a no-brainer. You pretty much have to have it. Not everyone, so maybe some people can get away without it.
It's a big
Um,
inconvenience not having it these
yeah, but to
days.
also be aware that, I mean, for me, this is in more general, I am not a consumer. I am a citizen and I am a human being, but the things I own
You don't
have
live to
come
shop.
from recycle,
Mm.
reuse, repair, restore, from the free box. I am not one who just keeps getting new things and throwing away things uh, and it's not because I so much think about, oh, it'll destroy the planet if I do that. And maybe that's there, but it's almost like I don't believe in waste. You
Mm.
know? I mean, why throw away something that's perfectly good when maybe someone could use it? Maybe I'll pass it on and give it to, but I won't throw it in the dump. And I certainly, I also
I'd love to
value
give
not having to
love to
work
give
real
away,
hard
but
and make all this money and spend it all. So, I live this lifestyle. So it's a conscious choice not to be seduced and automatically become a part of the consumer culture.
mm, yeah, I often give away stuff. I really enjoy that. There's
Yeah.
all sorts. I mean, in the nearest towns are here. I think there's 4 or 5. I think the American equivalent. I think is you call it Goodwill if you the
We
shops that sell
we
stuff
do
that's
have
given to
one of them is called Goodwill. Yes.
them.
Mhm.
We just call them charity shops. So basically, you
Yeah.
give stuff to a charity shop and they sell it, and they're raising money for all sorts of
Yep.
different charities.
Yeah. And
And the
then
nearest town to me, I think, has got 4 or 5 charity shops. So it's great.
yeah, I love them. I shop at them.
Mm,
I not only give things to them, but I also shop at them because I don't really want at some level I realize I don't want to be contributing to a culture that keeps producing way more, way more, way more,
mm.
when way more than needed. And so it's a glut. And it also then, I do have some awareness that the landfills where all the garbage goes, all the boxes, all the shipping, all and I don't abide with it. It doesn't, and by the same token, every once in a while, if I can't give something away, I will, throw it away. I'm not going to be so rigid that I can't breathe. I can't own a cell phone. I can't, function. But that's a bit of a tangent for us, I think, from where with
Yeah, we've
your
gone off
purpose
yeah,
statements. We got off on a
just,
tangent. Um,
I was thinking about the smartphone. Yeah, the purpose. So I'm not giving myself a hard time to come up with an answer here. I'm just holding
no,
these two things, and I say
right.
there's some overlap in the issues, and they're both precious, and I'm giving them space.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
they're on my
of
mind. I think
course.
at the
Of
time.
course. And I am still stuck in this place where I think they aren't really that disparate. They,
Mm,
like the treasuring, trusting and relating deeply and intimately and vulnerably with someone, that's a human to human version of treasuring and relating and reverencing.
mm. It's a
uh
deeper engagement with everything that isn't me.
yeah, yeah. And that relational engagement, I and
Mm,
it are part of us, to get, it isn't separate. It's going deeper, partly because we recognize, well, if you even think about the pleasure that we get when we become intimate, it is that's information. Oh, this feels good and good is good. I want
Mm.
good, therefore I live my life in a way that invites other people to have this good with me and experience also this level of good. And that's my job, is to be aware enough that this is good to um, demonstrate, show, invite, encourage other people to have and treasure this good experience for themselves, with other people, with the planet.
Something just came to mind that I haven't got an answer for this yet, but the idea came to mind.
That's that's part of the answer.
I'm
Always.
guessing that you have had the experience of romantic love,
Um,
which
I thought I did once.
mm, because it's happened to me 2 or 3 times,
Uh-huh.
and the experience is exquisite when it's going well, particularly if the other person
Oh,
meets.
oh,
It's exquisite. It's possibly the most wonderful human experience. If the other person doesn't return it, then it's extraordinarily awful.
yes.
But when
Yes.
it's going well, and I was thinking there might be more. There's more to this than just because then what happens is what we desperately want to shag each other's brains out. We want to make babies,
That's one
and
part. Yes.
so we can assume one could fall into the trap of thinking it's that is there in the possibility of human experiences. Because if it wasn't, we would have died out. We wouldn't have reproduced. But I'm wondering because part of the experience, particularly the last time, and it was 30 odd years ago now, it was a long time since I fell in love. Part of the experience was just being together with the other person. And somebody described it as ego boundaries collapsing, which
And
is
ego is
kind of
separateness. It's a
there's a
kind of
kind of
separateness of there's a me and there's a you, and you know, yeah,
so that there's a part of why it's so delicious, the experience is that meeting of another person, and there is that absolute um absolute trust.
yeah. It's a full
And if
sharing.
that is separate from the sexual passion, then that experience is possible with other people, maybe even with trees and animals, is possible, and it without the sexual component.
Right. That's my experience. And the sexual is just a an expression. It's one of the expressions of this intimacy. And
Mm,
I think one of the reasons that the sexual experience is so compelling is at the point where we're orgasming, we have to let go of control. There is no way to
mm,
control yourself into an orgasm. You can't make it happen. You have to allow it. Both men and women. You can, there's a way to sort of push it, but basically the actual release is, it's sort of magical. Uh it isn't willful.
mm,
And I think that that
yeah.
is a blissful experience in the body, mind, spirit when it happens. Like, I just let go of all kinds of control for this,
Mm,
microsecond. And then, wow, I did that with somebody else. We both did it. It is, and so I'm completely also being witnessed by someone absolutely having no control whatsoever. And it's actually bonding rather than separating to have that
mm.
happen. And enhances trust between people, right? So that is one aspect, in my opinion.
I'm not well qualified to speak on the sex thing. Being, I
What?
realised more recently that I'm really not in the least interested in sex, and I now identify as asexual.
Well,
It's just
okay. Well, so when you say romantic, to me, romantic mostly, well, I don't know. There's that term bromance. You know,
Mm.
you're familiar with like agape and eros and the three different kind of Greek words for love. I don't know
Oh,
what the third one.
yes, but I haven't heard about it recently. I remember reading about it a few years ago.
Yeah. That might be something to look at again. For me, I
Yeah,
honestly, yeah, I mean, it's almost I
because
am not I am not I am not drawn into relationship through a sexual avenue. I am drawn from something that just feels like deep pleasure to be with someone.
mm,
And then it's almost like depending on where hormones are and so forth and their desire or my desire, then we may be sexual, but that's not the primary piece for me. And
mm,
I think it's probably true of a lot of women, although, well, we could get off on a tangent here. Testosterone tends to be the really dominant hormone, especially in young men, that just pushes them into the sexual act because, otherwise they're poisoned by it, basically, the levels of testosterone in their system. And that does diminish as men grow older for most
what a
men.
relief.
Yeah. Thank God. So, yeah,
Ah,
we have just a couple minutes. Let's take a breath here. This has been
yeah, I
fun.
just think we're approaching the top of the hour.
Ah.
Mm. And we haven't talked about the road trip to Fairfax.
Oh, we haven't. You're right. Um,
Will you do another one before long?
I will do one in 2 days tomorrow.
Mm.
I'm scheduled to do them weekly at this point on Tuesday evening
Wow,
here. And the first
with the same
one,
guy,
yeah, what's that?
with the same chap.
Yep. So far, Chris is my co-pilot. He's my
Yeah.
pilot or he's my co-host, but he's my pilot.
Mm.
And he's agreed to play it with me. And for me, I'm in the okay, let's see what happens. And if and when it feels like we need more or different energy, we will either invite somebody else new to join us or else he will step out for a bit and I'll have a different co-host. I don't know. I don't
You could pick
know.
up a hitchhiker.
But what's that?
Pick up a hitchhiker.
That's it. I love it. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, pick up a hitchhiker and have a whole different, interweaving because,
Mm.
there's
Completely different
me, and then
experience.
there's the person, and then there's the crossover. And with every person,
Mm.
it's a little bit different crossover. So I'm there finding where we have crossover.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought of you too. This was the other thing. I got off the Zoom with you last week and felt that same kind of energy that I'd had with Chris at the road trip, you know? Different person, but same sort of there's a different kind of chemistry, but still a chemistry that keeps us
Mm.
engaged and keeps us alive. And I thought, okay, so then my second offering is, with your permission, Monday meetings with Mike.
Sounds all right to me.
So I've recorded our meetings and we'll see if I would
Oh,
never make them public unless you are fully on board with allowing them to go public. But that's part of what I'm thinking too, because
mm.
we have a different flavor. Chris and I have more the dance flavor.
Yeah.
You and I have the purpose flavor. Every person will have a different kind of, you know, bring a different energy and a different almost topic or
What brought us together, because what brought you and I together was MVC and purpose, and what brought you and
exactly.
Chris together was the ecstatic dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
and the need to be in Fairfax from
Right.
an hour's drive away.
Yeah. That was how we had time together, was the road trip to
Mm.
Fairfax. And these are Monday meetings with Mike, or Monday purpose meetings, or whatever we call them. Monday, I even
Oh,
thought
excuse me.
Monday, what was it? Yeah, Monday morning meetings with anyway, it doesn't matter the name. I like alliteration. Um so
Yeah,
uh I just feel like I dropped the bomb, but you seem pleased by it. And so
no, I'm fine with it.
yeah, cool. Cool. So I'll continue to have that fantasy that this will be
Mm.
I have a YouTube channel. So, I have playlists in YouTube. A lot of them are things I've created and put on YouTube, not just things I've watched And so there already is a YouTube playlist in my channel for Road Trip to Fairfax. So I'm imagining having, morning meetings with Mike, Monday morning meetings with Mike as another channel. And I'll just, there's not much editing. We just have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Interesting to see how a wider audience, particularly people who don't know either of you, how they will find it.
Right. And the ones that find it and like it will subscribe or
Mm.
whatever. And the ones that don't will pass. And that's not my job. My job is just to be myself and keep offering, That's how I see it.
Marvelous. When you're ready, we'll talk about it again.
Okay, perfect. Let's do a bell to close when you're ready. At
Yeah,
the
let's do
end
that.
at the
Let's
end of
do
the
that.
bell, I will open my eyes and wait for you, and then we'll do our little heart gesture sign off. That would work for me.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I will wish you good health and whatever's
Thank
bothering your
you.
tummy. I hope it
Thank
gets
you.
better quickly.
I'm resilient. I'm sure I'll be fine by tomorrow. And
Good.
all right, bell time.
Hmm.
And now I can hear my own wind chimes.
Hmm.
All right. Until
There we go.
Wednesday. There we go.
Until Wednesday.
All right. Uh,
See you then.
okay. Bye, Mike. Thanks
Bye bye.
again. Thank you for spending this time with us. If you liked this podcast, please click the like button and subscribe to the channel to stay with us. And tell us what you thought of this episode. We love to read your thoughts in the comments section.